Greetings, everyone. How are you doing? Welcome to another training session with your SAP consultant, Adele Kelechi. It's my name, and we have actually been on a series of training. We have been looking at some training in SAP. We started with the SAP master data training, which we're looking at the ARO, as accounts receivable, AP, accounts payable, and GL. In this session, we have looked at creating a customer master data, creating a vendor master data, creating a customer invoice, creating a customer payment, and a lot more. Please visit our YouTube channel for more training videos. Subscribe and share our videos. Thank you very much for doing that. You can also reach us through our email and phone number in case you need support or training or further explanations about our videos. For this session of our training, we're going to be looking at the vendor master data. So if you have not actually gotten, if you want to get more of our previous trainings, please visit our YouTube channel and you get more trainings because we have actually treated most of the trainings on this slide. For today, we're going to be looking at another very interesting topic, which we call posting vendor invoices. Now, basically, business transactions between partners, which involves the exchange of goods and services, for some reward. One of those partners that are key to business growth are your vendors. We have talked about vendor master data, where you create the vendor information, maintain its basic information in SAP. So we're going to be looking at how to create a vendor invoice in SAP FI, because we have also vendor transactions in SAP MM, which is your material management module. But for this training, we are going to be focusing on the FI part of the vendors, basically. So we're going to, as usual, uh, we have talked about who a vendor is. We've talked about the concept of master data. Invoices are basically documents that are sent from your supplier or vendor to you, which carries details of your transaction with that particular supplier or vendor. Also, by nature of your vendor invoices, when that invoice is posted, of course, it has some accounting implications. Depending on what you're procuring, it could be a service, it could be an inventory. When an invoice is posted, that vendor account is credited because accounts in your vendor represents one of their debts or liabilities you must pay. So posting more invoices means increasing that liability. So in the essence of crediting your vendor, you're also receiving a service or an inventory which will be debited. So that's the accounting postings for these transactions. But let's see how we can do that in SAP. So we're going to go now to SAP system. Also, the transaction code to create a vendor invoice in SAP is FB60. You can also go through the menu path, which I'm going to show you now in our SAP software. So it's either you enter the transaction code FB60 just at your command bar, or you go through what we call the menu path, or you can create that transaction code as a favorite. So just go to favorites, insert transaction, just type FB60. The essence of this is to ensure you have that code already saved in your system, so you don't need to actually cram that transaction code anymore because it's part of your favorite list. You can also go through the menu path in case you don't remember those transaction codes. So go to financial accounting, go to accounting, financial accounting, accounts payable handle or vendor related transactions, document entry. So you have the transaction code FB60 for invoice, F-43 for general. You're going to see the difference between these two. So let's go to FB60. So you can use both transaction code to actually enter your vendor invoice. However, there's a slight difference between those two transaction codes. It's better explained when the documents are actually opened. So we've double clicked on the transaction code FB60. So this is opened. We go to a new session. Remember, in SAP, we can have up to 6 sessions, 6 different screens. So I go to a new session. Remember, I want to see the difference. And go to F-43, which is invoice general. Run this transaction code so we can display the difference. So the difference between F-43, scroll down, you're going to see the difference, and FB60. Like I said, both of them can be used. I need to fill this. I wanted to just take this pin out. You can see that in FB60, you have the option of providing the vendor accounts. Basically, the header documents the same. The difference is in the line items. In the line items, you have the debit and credit option, which you can just select from. Inside your debit and credit option, you have what we call the posting keys. Okay, so if I come to this other screen, you're going to see that the posting key to credit a vendor is 31. However, in your FB60, what you can see is the header document here actually handles that credit part, while the debit part goes to either the service or the item. So it's easier to use FB60 in posting this transaction code, in posting this transaction for your vendor invoice. Here you have to remember the posting keys, select the accounts, and actually do your postings. So this is actually a happy transaction code to use every 60. But it's good you know both of them. Both of them can accomplish the same result, but using different means. So we're going to focus on this by using every 60. So I'm just going to select the vendor account. First of all, you need to go to company code, the tab here, to check which of the company codes you're actually using to do this transaction. So I'm using XDSD01. It's fine. Select the vendor that you want to invoice. So just click here, click on the drop down, and it's going to pull down your search option for you to search for your vendors. Just confirm by entering your company code. You can also search by name if you know the name. You can search by vendor account if you know the vendor account. So if you know the name, you can put, let's say the name is UBA, you put asterisks. So close this. So this means that the system to search for the word called UBA from the beginning of the word called UBA in the list of words you have, and also look for this UBA that ends a particular word in your search engine. However, we're going to leave this blank because we want to see everything, or the vendor list in this company code, all the vendors in that company code. So you click on OK. So this is the vendor for which I want to invoice. So I select Benja Group. click on enter. So here you provide the date for your transaction. Remember, this is the invoice date. Invoice date is the date on the invoice which your supplier actually sent to you. While posting date is the date you're actually doing the posting. So these two dates can actually be different depending on the business case. Oh, you see these are blank, so I just need to click on enter to validate. Giving me some warnings, which is fine. So just click on enter and okay, so there is a compulsory field here called text. So it's a required field. Let's say we want to servicing a vehicle. That's what we want to do. Or just okay. It's the warning for the net due date, which is fine. Okay, so of course, this 3 off and 3 on gives you extra features on your document. So I don't need them, so I'm just going to go to 3 off. If you click on 3 on, those features would actually come up. Things like packing and holding documents, you can find in your 3 on option. Okay, so the next is the reference. That's the invoice number for this particular document, the amount of this document. Text, the GL. So we can select this GL. Please search for GL that relates to this expense. Confirm the amount. You can also provide a cost center if this GL requires such. So click on enter to validate and check. So enter, remember the amount on the header text. Of course, this document is divided into 2 parts. The header document, which comprise of your header information, and the line item document. So you can see this error message here says account 450 requires an assignment to a cost center object. That means that this GL has been created to or has been assigned to a cost center during its creation. That's one of the integration between FI and CO. For ECC, the GL accounts via the um, via the account via your chart of accounts handles that feature. So you select your cost center. So I've already created cost center when I did the CO configuration. So let's say this goes to admin cost. Click on enter, check, validate. Okay, so you can see now that there's no more error. Balance is green. So let's say, for example, I do this. I mistakenly added 60,000 here. The amount in the header document is 65. The amount on the line item is 60. Click on enter. You see now it's going to give you a status of red, and it's going to drop down the difference in balance. So when you have these issues, it means that there is a difference between the amount in the document header and the amount in the line item. So you need to correct that by putting the correct amount. So this is fine, and this goes to green. Okay, so the concept of packing and holding, we're going to discuss that in our next class or in previous sessions. We have other tabs here that are also important to your understanding your header document. For example, your payment give you things like the payment terms, the baseline dates, the payment methods, the payment block. If this is blocked for payment, we need to go through a workflow. You can select block for payment. So once an invoice is blocked for payment, it cannot be paid. You can enter the discount, currency. This is payment terms that has been configured the master data for this vendor. Go to details. Details shows you the GL, the sub GL that handles payables, which will need to be cleared. Um, of course, we need to be cleared and reconciled. Go to tax. Tax will probably show you the tax element of this invoice, which is not active at the moment. So you have input tax and output tax, which you can assign. So let's go to basic data. Let's see if we can do this. So your vendor has an input tax. So you need to also need to come here. Let's see if this would check. That's two. So this account is not tax relevant. So what this is saying is that this GL account is not relevant to tax. This issue or this message is actually part of the configuration from the chartered accounts. This was made not to be relevant to tax. When we look at taxation in SAP, we're going to see more about, of course, even your GL master data. We'll learn more about this functionality. Okay, so you can go to notes. You can give notes about this particular invoice. Let's say um, okay, the invoice is confirmed. Go to your local currency. And you can see the group currency, which is in euro, and you can see our hard currency, which is our home currency. So of course, you can see that there's an exchange rate difference between these two. And of course, in your line items, you have other tabs like your business area, your cost center, grants, segments, product group, business partner. So all these are available in your line item that have been selected based on relevance. So what do we do after posting and confirming? We go to simulate to check the posting at the GL level. Okay, so when you simulate, it actually takes you to GL display to see your postings. Very, very important. Okay, so at this point, you confirm, you can see the posting keys has been automatically uh, selected because of the document FP60 we're using. The accounts have been selected. The vendor accounts called Vendor Group has been credited. The vehicle servicing has been debited, which of course is your account, the expense. So at this point, you do your confirmations, check your taxes. So, okay, we're going to come to the concept of packing much later. So I can save this transaction and it should automatically give me a document number which I can view or display or change in future dates. Okay, so Okay, so we have our document number 10 posted. Okay, so we're just going to see follow-up transactions to posting your invoice. Follow-up transactions to posting your invoice. One of that is to display this invoice or to change this invoice. So you have the option immediately after saving, you have the option of going to documents and go to display just immediately after saving. So if I go to display, I'll be able to see this document. Go to display. Remember, this is immediately after saving. However, if you have saved this transaction and you want to look for it again, you don't need to bother yourself. You can get this. So this is a transaction that was posted. It's at display mode, so you can make changes. Another way to get through with searching for a transaction is to actually use the transaction code for display FBO3. So the system is going to automatically pick the document number for the last document, and you can click on enter to actually validate your to check or display that document. So you can use your FB03 to display any document number. Any document number. If you don't remember this document number, you can go to your document list. First, provide your search criteria, ledger, the posting date, and execute. So it's going to actually give you the list of all your documents. So let's try. So let's say 2020, 2021, say 01, 30, 10, 2021. So let's execute. Okay, so you can see my document number 10. It has actually listed all the document numbers that has been posted, the fiscal year was posted, the document type, of course, vendor invoices, document type is KRO, the document date, and the posting date. So this is actually one of the very, very important keys, transaction code called FP03, which can be used to display any document. As long as it has the document number in SAP, you can use your FP03 to do that. So another very important area, a very important follow-up document, if you, at the change level, if you click on this icon here, it means at the display level, if you click on this icon here, it means that you want to make changes to this document. Or you can easily go back, go to documents and change. Of course, provide the document number, enter. It's going to display this document automatically. Or you can go to the transaction code FPO2 to change any document message. Enter. Okay, it's blocked because it's actually open here. So you can see I went through the document, but it gave me the transaction code FB02. Okay, so another very important follow-up document posting or follow-up transactions with posting your vendor invoice is what we call the services for object. So you might be required to attach copies of the vendor invoice to this particular transaction. If your business operation requires a workflow process, which means that this vendor invoice will be blocked and sent to another approving authority to do that approval, you can actually get who is supposed to approve next through the workflow review. However, if you want to attach, let's say the hard copy vendor invoice or the contract to this particular transaction, you can go to your service of object, go to create and click on create attachment. If you want to view the attachment that has been created, You can do that at the attachment paste. Okay, so these are some of the follow-on transactions that happen when you display. Also at the display level, drill down, you can always drill down to these reports. If you go to the color document overview, you can see the document overview. Click on this hat to see the document header. From document header, you can know the exact document type that was used. You can enter a document header type request when change. You can see the reference, which is the invoice number. You can see the reference key, which was number that was posted. Based on the configuration of master data, it is using the document number, the company code, and the fiscal year. So you can see the T code that was used, who entered this, and all that. So you can see basic information about this invoice using your app. Then you can display currency. You can check local currency. You can check group currency. So it's going to display this line item according to your currency setting. So this is actually about your vendor invoicing FI. Always, of course, the vendor line item display, which is FBL1N, can be used to display this vendor balance. We're going to go deeper into that in our next class, where you can display the line account or the line item of this vendor to see whether this transaction has been cleared or is open for payment. Okay, so basically, we have actually looked at the transaction code and the path. We have looked at document, vendor, invoice document, looked at the various types. And we looked at the document structure. We said that the vendor invoice is broken down into document header and the line item. Document header is controlled by the document type, which is KR, while the line item is controlled by the posting key, which is 31 and 40. 31 is to credit vendor, 40 is to debit the expense. So basically, thank you for watching how to create the vendor invoice in SAP FI. You can visit our YouTube channel for more information on training videos. You can also please share and subscribe. And, let this reach to all those who actually require this knowledge. Or why not you can chat us up on WhatsApp, send us an email. We're glad to hear from you. Thank you very much for your time, and stay tuned to more video. Our aim is to share information, and we are happy and we're glad that you're part of this. Thank you very much. See you in our next class.